So hear me out, when Gosei tapped into the Morphin Grid to get the legendary Ranger keys, he actually tapped into the power of a dead Ranger team. I don't want to talk about it, but let's talk about it. Yo, what's up everybody, it's Este here and welcome back to another video, and you're tuned in to another episode of Power Rangers Explained, where I explain everything in the Power Rangers universe. In this episode, I'll be talking about the Prism Team of Power Rangers, a possible dead team in the history of the Morphin Grid. I don't know. The Prism Team of Power Rangers is one of the new powers that are seen in Power Rangers Super Megaforce that was a collection of mysterious Power Rangers whose powers were in the form of legendary Ranger keys that were used by the Super Megaforce Rangers. The team's mentor Gosei would note that these teams have never been seen on Earth. At least Earth in the prime dimension up to that point. So could this be a possible team of alien Rangers? Not that team of alien Rangers, a different type of alien Rangers. I made a whole video talking about the unsolved mystery of these new powers, but today I'll be talking about one of those teams, that being the Prism Team. If you're excited for this video, be sure to give this a big ol' like, because 1,500 likes and I'll be doing more Power Rangers Explained E-Squad. I know we can do it. I love y'all to death. So without further ado, we're going to look into the Power Rangers Prism Team's history as a Ranger crew, and that can be seen in the Power Rangers comics. That being Power Rangers Unlimited Heir to Darkness, which was a one-shot graphic novel from Boom Studios. It is a prequel set within the Boom Comics continuity of Power Rangers in space, focusing on the origin stories of both Astronema and Ecliptor. Now, even though this is in the Boom Universe studio of comics, I'm pretty sure this story could be somewhat similar in the main continuity, because Gosei said this team was never before seen on Earth, so maybe, it could be seen on another planet, we just haven't seen it ourselves, the audience. But let me tell you, the first 6 pages of this graphic novel goes in because we get to see the Power Rangers Prism Team get destroyed, basically. Let's talk about that. The Prism Rangers resided on an extraterrestrial planet, where they were attacked by a young Astronema, who at the time wanted to know the location of the almighty Zordon. She would go on to fight this team in an epic battle. However, Astronema thought her final strike would destroy the team of Rangers once and for all. But not quite. The Pink Ranger was still alive and breathing, and Astronema noticed, going up to her, thinking she was begging for mercy. However, this was a mere distraction for the rest of the Prism Rangers, including Red, Yellow, and Blue, who was seen to be pretty hurt, to escape, as we see the Green Prism Ranger come out to escape as well. Astronema noticed that and cracked right through Green's helmet, throwing Pink down and having her now below her feet. Astronema asked for Zordon's location, but the Pink Ranger wouldn't bust, saying how she'll never win. Astronema would teleport away with the fate of the team unknown. Personally, I think they're dead. I think they're gone, they're destroyed, they're gonzos. I don't want my head to be thinking these dark thoughts, but that's just what I think. And as we know, years later, one of Zordon's apprentices, Gosei, would tap into the Morphin Grid, pull the Prism Rangers powers out, and turn them into Ranger keys for his team, the Megaforce Rangers, to use them against the Armada. Also, if you haven't subscribed and rang the notification bell, what are you waiting for? Be sure to do so. Join the E-Squad today. I upload Power Ranger videos every single week. I'm sure you don't want to miss them. But besides that, we don't really know the identity of the team or the origins. It's all really just speculation. But I think we can really find that out if we read into the Sentai origin, Cho Shenshi Flash Man. Cho Shenshi Flash Man is the 10th Super Sentai series produced by Toei Company and Bandai, and it aired on TV Asahi on March 1st, 1986 to February 21st, 1987. That's right, a team from the 80s. I think that's really cool to think about it. A Power Rangers team from the 80s. I think that'd be nice for the history. So this right here is the story of Flash Man. In 1966, 5 children were kidnapped by an alien group known as the Alien Hunters for the sake of the reconstructive experiment Empire Mess, who wanted samples of humans from Earth to experiment on. They were rescued by the Flash alien race. Each one of the 5 rescued children was taken to a different planet of the Flash solar system for training. Each of them were trained separately from the others in a range of superpower abilities, which would allow them to fight the reconstructive experiment Empire Mess. When they finally returned to Earth in 1986 to combat Mess, who is now trying to invade, they used the opportunity to search for their birth parents. It is later that they can only stay on Earth for 1 year before the now alien atmosphere of their true planet will physically harm them, the anti-Flash phenomenon. And so that makes sense, the team can only fight for a year, that makes sense, in terms of Super Sentai rules here. But we can actually use this team of Flash Man and probably adapt their story into the Prism Team in a way. You know, them being from an extraterrestrial planet, actually staying on the planet, training to become a team of Rangers, and eventually being sought out and destroyed by Astronema herself, a very young Astronema at that. I think that's really cool. But let's look into 2014's Power Rangers Super Megaforce, where most of you probably saw this team for the very first time, myself included. As much information relating to the Prism Rangers, such as the team's creation and exploits, are largely unknown. But the Prism Team was first seen in 2014's Super Megaforce as one of the unknown legendary Ranger modes that the Super Megaforce Rangers can transform into. In Episode 5, Samurai Surprise, we saw the pink Super Megaforce Ranger Emma morph into the pink Prism Ranger. 4 episodes later, in Episode 9, Power of 6, we see Super Megaforce Green Jake morph into the green Prism Ranger. Then in Episode 19, The Wrath, we see one of the members of the team once again, with Green Prism Ranger once again showing up, this time used by Emma. Speaking of the Green Ranger in Super Megaforce, anybody wonder how Jake went from black to green? It's a mystery. I made a whole video about it. Go check it out. Now, the reason I say they're destroyed is because Astronema literally said, like, they're not gonna last long with the wounds that they have. So I'm assuming they're either barely alive or just straight up destroyed, gone. Also, if the team were actually destroyed by Astronema, isn't it kind of messed up how Gosei can just steal their powers for their new team, a live team, to use it? I think that's bad. Probably culturally bad. Also, a good thing to note, the only 2 legendary Ranger modes that we saw in the season were both green and pink, 2 of the main Prism Ranger team members that we saw in the comic books. Because red, yellow, and blue, they're already gone. You know, the focus is really on green and pink, 2 Rangers that we already saw in Super Megaforce. I think that's interesting to know. In terms of the name Prism, I think it's because the weapons they use, and we see that also in Super Megaforce, because they kind of kept their name from when they were in Flashman, such as the Prism Shooter, which were the side arms of the team. They can be used as laser guns or be separated into swords and shields. And in Flashman, they can be used together to create their combination cross boomerang attack. Then we also have the individual weapons, like the Prism Gauntlets that Jake would use in Super Megaforce. This gave him a punching boost that covered his arms to boost the Green Flash's punching power. And at full power, they can be used to perform the Prism Punch finisher. Now, we never saw a Megazord for the Prism Rangers, but that would probably be the Flash King. Would that be called the Prism King or the Prism Megazord? Probably the Prism Megazord, because names and originality, not for Power Rangers. But with all that history and all we saw on TV, we still don't know a lot. Because when it comes to evidence of the Prism Team's mentions in other Power Rangers history, all we have is an episode of Power Rangers Den of Thunder, that being the episode Bully for Ethan, as their symbol could be seen in the background of Tommy's office alongside other logos of Japanese exclusive Sentai teams that never had their own adaptation. Like the other teams that we talked about before in the series, both the Squadron Rangers and the Supersonic Rangers. Supersonic, love that team. Go check out that video. They have a better history than this team, of course. But here's one thing to note. Even though we don't know the history of the Prism Rangers, who they are, if they're dead or alive, that doesn't mean they're not like part of the Power Rangers universe, because they're in video games. That's right, they're in the Korean-made Power Rangers Dash video game as one of the teams that you can play as. I didn't even know that. We even have the Megazord there, the Flash King. So maybe it is the Prism King or the Prism Megazord. What do you guys think? But to be fair, guys, we still could have a possible future for the Prism Team. Just because Astronema destroyed them doesn't mean that we can learn the origins of who these guys were before they were destroyed. Are they aliens? Are they humans? Are they robots? We don't know. It also doesn't mean that the Morphers are gone or destroyed, so they can be bought back easily by a brand new team, either for good purposes or for evil purposes. So this could possibly not be the last time that we see these guys. They could be set up in a future comic, maybe in the future. SPD, Time Force, in the universe, RPM, I don't know. They can be literally used for anything. So even though they're dead and gone and destroyed, I think it's still really cool that we took a look at their history. What do you guys think? What would be your fan-made origin story for the Prism Rangers? Who would you call the team? You know, I want to know all that. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, DonFuego. I'm also on Instagram, NotDonFuego. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at. And of course, and as always, stay awesome, everybody.